Are you struggling with your self-esteem, really liking yourself and not really having the greatest relationship with yourself? Well, today I'm going to give you 5 tips on self-esteem that I've learned in my life that have helped my relationship with me from being really low, and the best from some of my guest interviews on people who have that loving relationship with themselves. Disclaimer. Any of the guidance offered by the podcast host, myself, or the podcast guests is our own guidance. We are not liable for any of the actions the podcast listener decides to do. Welcome back to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for wanting to work on yourself as well. Wanting to really work on that relationship with yourself, because the more you can do that, and the more you're going to spread it to other people. You know, I found when I'm in a bad place, I hate myself, I can lash out at people. I can get angry, I can get moody, I can drain people's energy. But when I've been in the place of like loving myself, feeling good about life, I spread good energy to other people and I make them feel good about themselves. So I really wanted to go through some tips that I have learned today that have really helped me. Because my story is I've been in a place where I've like been crying on the floor and like holidays because I hated myself. I felt so bad about myself. I've been hiding away from people because I was scared of what people thought of me. I wasn't being bullied or anything. I just felt so insecure. People looking at me and just, I've had such a low opinion. I've had like the most negative thoughts in my head as well. So these are the 5 points I really wanted to share with you today. So number 1, make sure you take action in line with where you want to go. The more you can be in alignment with the action you want to do or the goals you want and taking action towards it, the better relationship you're going to build with yourself. Because if you're like, that's important to me and that'll feel good to achieve, and then you don't do anything towards it, you're saying to yourself, I am not important. My goals are not important. And then you're like, well, I got busy with this, and this. The people who have the highest self-esteem I've met, they're like, yeah, they have busy lives. They have busy schedules. We all have busy stuff. I hate the word busy, actually. I'm saying it a lot in this, but busy is just often an excuse. I was actually catching up with a friend today in my network, and we were having a good conversation. And he was telling me he's a dad of 5, right? When people tell him they don't have time and they're busy, and the amount of work he does and delivers his business, he tells them they're talking bullshit. Because there's always time for the most important things for you. Like, yeah, appreciate some people are parents and not parents, some people are not parents. But the people who really love themselves, they always find time for something, even if it's like 30 minutes a day or 20 minutes a day, right? So make sure you're taking action in line with where you want to go. Something that's going to fill you every day. Feel like, I tick that, I did that, that's builds me towards my goal, right? Get it in early. Earlier the better can be good. Like, I'm not saying where you should put it in your routine, but if you've got a round day and anything could happen, it might be a good idea to get it in earlier before the distractions of life come in. Number 2, proof to remind yourself the amazing things to love about yourself. So often our brain's like, I remember when I messed that up. I'm going to mess that up. I just made a mistake. Instead, write down a list of at least minimum 10 things, ideally 20 or more things that you have achieved in your life. And when you can write those out, start with small things like, oh yeah, I felt really bad that week, but I still managed to get to the gym. That is a win. Or like, that time I passed my driving test when I had no idea. Look at how far I came. Just writing down these things in your lifeline and then looking at them, and then don't just read it intellectually, start to feel it. And if you can, just pick one of them where you can really feel that feeling. Maybe it is passing your driving test. You're like, oh my God, how good did I feel? And just anchoring that in. Or like the time you ask someone out and you're like, wow, I'm so proud I did that. Yes. Or like the time you got the job you really wanted. You're like, yes, I feel so good about myself. The more you can anchor that in and rewire your mind how great you are, the more stronger you're going to feel about yourself. Hey, just a quick pause in this episode just to mention something. I want to thank you for being here, for really wanting to work on your self-esteem and your confidence. It means a lot to me that you're listening to my show to really work on that. And I want to give you some more guidance and more support. Whether you're looking to build your self-esteem and your confidence in your personal or professional life, or maybe both, you can find some resources and links below in the show notes below. So just click on those resources and I'd love to hear what you think of those. Let's get you back to the show. As opposed to the mind, you need to train the mind as opposed to the mind going like, well, I messed that up, because it's looking for the negatives, it's looking for the dangers. So you have to retrain it that way. A third one's a very simple one. Tell yourself you love yourself in the mirror. Say something like this: Johnny, I love you. Now, if your name's not Johnny, don't say Johnny, I love you. You can say you love me. I appreciate it. I love you too. But say your name first, right? Your name, and say, I love you. Look at yourself in the mirror and smile. Give yourself a high five as well. That's out of Mel Robbins, but the high five in the mirror. But you can smile at yourself and say you love you. It may be hard at first. A couple of people messaged me about doing this exercise, and they're like, well, it's really hard at first. Yes, it's going to be hard at first, because it's like retraining yourself. When you try something new, it's always going to be challenging at first because it's new. Your brain's used to a certain way of slagging yourself off, probably. So when you start saying you love you, and you can really connect with yourself and look at yourself, do that. Here's an extra tip. Imagine you're talking to the 3-year-old version of you. Say, Johnny, I love you. And then look at the relationship change on that. Number 4, study someone with good self-esteem. Find someone who really loves who they are. We're not talking about ego or arrogance. We're talking about someone who is just happy who they are. And it's really interesting because I remember being like this guy who was perceived on the outside as very confident, and I put on the show a lot of the time, relatively good looking, in shape, football captain, do all these kind of things. And I was miserable myself inside because I was validated by the external. I would be horrible to myself if I made mistakes. And then I would see people who didn't necessarily have the achievements, didn't have the flashiest lifestyle. They're just so happy being themselves. And I thought, respect, I'm so happy for you. They weren't going to the gym. I'd always advise going to the gym, but I knew that. And they were just chilling. They're just I'm happy being me. I thought, interesting, maybe I could learn that. But study people, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's a book, whether it's an audio book or a physical book or an ebook. Study someone who has got really good self-esteem. Genuine, not like the kind of macho, you gotta be confident, man. But someone who truly embodies self-love for themselves. You can feel it energetically. And then number 5, self-care. Self-care is self-esteem. When you can love yourself, when you look after yourself in terms of your food, your exercise, also we just touched on the gym point, all these kind of things, that's going to enhance your self-esteem as well. So make sure you're looking after you. I like to do things now and then, go to the sauna or a cold plunge. I might put that in for Sunday. Good idea, Johnny. Anyway, sorry, that's just me thinking out loud. But yeah, give yourself some self-care, because that is really, really important if you want to build good self-esteem. So those are my 5 points on self-esteem. Thank you so much for listening. So what we talked about today was, number 1, making sure you're taking action towards what you want. Even if you're got a ram life, find 20 minutes, 30 minutes in the morning, because when you don't move towards your goals, you're telling yourself you and your goals aren't important. Number 2, write down some proof of the great things you've done in life, read them, and then feel at least one of them. Number 3, tell yourself you love you in the mirror, just as you. Number 4, study someone with self-esteem, and the more you listen to them, the more you observe them, the more I found it's rubbed off on me. And number 5, self-care. Find ways to self-care for yourself. It's specific to you, what self-care is for you. Find time to do that, because that's going to build self-esteem. So thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you for being here. And remember to lead with your heart and not with fear. Thank you so much for listening today. It means the world to me. And I really want to add value to you to help you boost your self-esteem, your confidence, your trust inside yourself to move forward. And I have some more for you. So if you go into the show notes below this episode, you can find some more resources for your personal or your professional life. So if you want to boost your self-esteem and confidence in your personal and or professional life, you can find those resources linked below this episode in the show notes. Once again, thank you for being here.